the debate about owners, especially among New York owners, you can't have one without mentioning the Steinbrenners.
Yeah.
And it segues perfectly into what we're doing next.
Yes, congratulations, Hal.
Yes. But should an owner be passive? When should an owner step in?
I think never. I mean, I think an owner should just sign the checks.
Because Leon Hess was a passive owner, and people would say, and the Jets were losing, people would say he wasn't active enough. And then he'd say, hey, I want to see my team win every now and then. People would say, shut up.
Yeah,
You know?
right.
And
you're a meddler. Yeah.
then George.
Yeah.
Then Jerry Jones, the ultimate meddler.
Yeah,
He's the owner
made
and
himself
general
GM,
manager.
yeah, right.
Made himself GM. And the Cowboys have been, the Cowboys are the perfect example of the dangling the carrot and pulling it away.
Yeah.
They look good for 2/3 of the year, and then at the end, they're not there.
Yeah, what was the old commercial? Was it an insurance commercial of the guy with the dollar bill on the end of the fishing pole, and he's like, oh, you almost had it. You got to be quicker than that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or the Nirvana cover in the baby underwater following a dollar bill.
Oh, yeah.
But the same thing happens now.
That poor kid.
When I'm talking about a guy, if you're a general manager and you either trade away or release someone who becomes a superstar, it's a blemish on your career. Well, George, in his later years, after the suspension humbled him and Gene Michael's success gave him what he wanted, which was really to win. He didn't necessarily want to be the guy pulling the strings. All he wanted to do was win. Didn't matter who did it. So, but George would always say, when Cashman came up with something, or somebody else, one of the assistants came up with something, okay, we'll do it, but you better be right. And that's a perfect example of not being right.
Yeah.
Now, George made some stupid moves. The 80s were full of stupid moves. A lot, again, guys you don't necessarily remember from back in the day, like Doug Drabeck, who became a 20-game winner with the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Yankees traded him away prior to that.
Yeah.
And the Yankees' biggest need in the 1980s was pitching.
Right.
They had great hitting. They had Mattingly. They had Winfield and a great lineup. But their starting lineup would maybe be one or two deep, and then a cast of thousands. And largely because they trade away guys like Drabeck, who became very effective for the Pirate teams in the late 80s, early 90s that had Barry Bonds on them. He was one of their top starters. But that was a perfect example. But now we segue into, now everybody's saying, Hal's too passive. Hal has kept Brian Cashman on too long. Hal doesn't care about winning like his father did. Hal this, Hal that. And I've always thought Hal was the my equivalent of Michael Corleone, the youngest son taking over the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the whole thing about Cashman is not like that. That's not a dumb argument.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think.
The question is, who would the franchise is Fredo?
Yeah. Right. You broke my heart, Fredo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because Hank, his brother, who, God rest his soul, he was kind of a combination of both. He was a little bit sunny, bit of a loose cannon, a little bit Fredo, not too smart.
Yeah, right. But the whole thing with Cashman and letting him, 1999 Cashman took over, right?
98.
98, yeah. So,
okay, we're talking about 24 years now.
Yeah.
24 years.
And
which I believe is the longest tenure
it's got to be
of any Yankee general manager. I'm going to double check Ed Barrow. Now, Ed Barrow was the Yankee general manager who signed Lou Gehrig and continued on, I believe, until after the war.
Well, either way, what I was going to say was Brian Cashman, I think it's relatively easy to be the general manager of the New York Yankees, in a sense. Obviously, there's immense pressure on you, but I think that pressure can be alleviated by the ease of signing players. Just about every other player grew up a Yankees fan. Everybody who hits the free agent market, they sign with the Yankees, and then they tweet a photo of them as a kid wearing a Thurman Munson jersey, right? Like, you think about it, Garrett Cole, there's the picture of him as a kid holding up the sign at the Yankees playoff game. Joey Gallo was a Yankee fan. He's not even from New York. And nor was Garrett Cole. So I think that having that name, Yankees, across the front, makes his job a lot easier. There's a pull. There's a lot more.
There definitely is.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you were a kid growing up in St. Louis and worshiped the Cardinals, that would have the same pull for you.
That's true. That's true. But there's kids from all 50 states who grow up Yankees
Of
fans.
course. But for the record on Barrow, 1920 to 1945. So
that's 26
Cashman's
seasons.
got a couple of years to catch up.
And he'll reach it.
But one record that he will never catch up with is that under Barrow's tenure as GM, the Yankees won 14 pennants and 10 World Series titles.
That's all right, I guess.
No one's catching up with that.
No,
now,
probably
it's
not.
also true that there aren't any GMs currently employed right now that have as many rings as Cashman has, but Yankees have won one championship in 20 years.
Yes, exactly. Right.
Okay.
What, 98, 99, 2000, 2009, right?
Yep.
So
So
four.
between
Epstein's
2000
got
and to
three.
the present day, just the 1 and 09.
Yeah,
In the meantime, the Red Sox have won 4.
that's right. Yes. And then when Theo Epstein takes over for the Mets next year and they win the World Series, then he'll be tied with Theo Epstein with 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, of course I'm joking. The Mets are way too far. The Mets have way too many questions. We'll get to them. We'll get to them at 11:58.
The other thing, I made a statement on Facebook yesterday after being thoroughly disgusted by the Yankees' 12-2 drubbing at the hands of the Tampa Bay Rays.
I already forgot that happened.
Yes, because of what happened today.
Yes,
We'll get
yeah.
into that. But I said that here we are, and the Yankees have turned out another overpriced second-rate team because they finished tied for second in the American League East. And
Technically third.
they are not, at least as they have it to get. If you get into the postseason, you have a chance to win it all. True,
Of course.
but there are better teams than they are in the postseason, including those Rays.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I want to point this out. Toronto missing the playoffs. 1, tragic. But 2,
Toronto, too little, too late.
yeah, too little, too late, definitely. But
They didn't get hot in time.
well, you know what? They did, and then they lost that series to the Twins, and it was over because that was when the Yankees went on their they have a 7-game winning streak.
Yeah,
something like that?
They got hot again, but the Yankees were floundering. The Yankees were floundering several times this year.
Yeah, and red hot several times. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a tumultuous 92 win season. Don't just look at the win-loss record. I mean, that was
But
it was constant
the other
ebb and
side
flow.
of what I said was, you got what disgusts me more: the Yankees turning in another second-rate performance with one of the highest payrolls in baseball,
second, right?
or the Tampa Bay Rays about to move to Montreal because the fans don't appreciate what they have.
Isn't that just despicable? I mean, look, they need a new stadium for sure. I hate the Trop.
And Montreal doesn't offer anything. Here's the problem with Montreal.
That's why the Expos
I
didn't
love
work.
Montreal. I visited Montreal. It's a beautiful city. Okay? And as someone who took French in high school, I get a kick out of baseball in French and how the French announcers actually had to invent a lexicon for baseball, invent the words. I call outfielders voltigeurs. Voltigeur is like an acrobat. Okay, the literal translation in French, but they came up with these French words to use in baseball, and and Montreal had a history, but it was mostly among the English-speaking population. Remember, Jackie Robinson played minor league baseball in Montreal.
Yes.
So they had teams. They had baseball there going back to the 1870s, but the Expos were something else altogether. Now, of course, they did fine in the 70s and 80s because the stadium they played in was state of the art for the time, but the big OWE, because Montreal ran up a huge debt that they paid off 20 years after the fact, 30 years. They built in 76 and they paid it off in 2006. So they have, by then it was obsolete. And the other problem was that the Bronfman family, which owned Seagram's spirits, Seven Crown whiskey and stuff like that, they pulled out, and a lot of other English-speaking companies and stuff like that pulled out of Montreal because of the separatist movement. Everything in Montreal, if you visit Montreal, every sign, every street sign, everything that's visible to the public must be in French, even if you're not a native French speaker. And Montreal has a mix of English and French speakers. And I said, yeah, but the French girls are prettier.
I don't.
If I were in high school in Montreal, I would make sure my French was really good.
Yes, but I don't want to. I don't want to see that happen to the Rays. That's
yeah. But Montreal did have a good baseball following during its heyday. I mean, they had Gary Carter, they had Tim Raines, and
they've had their guys.
There are a couple of turning points in the history of the Expos that kind of killed them. Number one was they called it Blue Monday. It was the 1981, I believe. No, it was the NLCS against the Dodgers, and Rick Monday on a Monday hit a deciding home run in Game 5, and that knocked Montreal out. And Dodgers advanced and ended up winning the World Championship. That was a strike year too.
And then you're going to talk about the strike year of '94.
'94,
yeah,
which really killed them because that '94 team was loaded. And then they basically did the sell-off.
Yep.
And what's interestingly enough, they stayed competitive even when they were selling off players. Yep. They had Larry Walker, who just got into the Hall of Fame. They had Pedro Martinez, who's in the Hall of Fame.
Alou,
yeah, Moises Alou, a young Moises Alou.
And Dad was the manager.
Yeah. And that was a great team. And then, gone.
Yeah.
And they never forgave MLB for that, and MLB kind of never forgave them because they didn't even try to keep them in there. 2003, the year before they left. They were splitting time between Puerto Rico and Montreal. September call-ups, right? You expand your roster of 40 players. Montreal's still in it. Selig would not allow Montreal to do September call-ups. He basically undermined them. It's like, we want you guys to suck, so you move to Washington. Despite the fact that they didn't get knocked out of the race until like the third from last day of the season.
Yeah, it's tragic.
Really.
But either way, the Blue Jays, right? I was mentioning the Blue Jays. So the Yankees clinching today, obviously finished the year 92-70. Well, the Red Sox were down 5-1. They came all the way back to win 7-5. So they sweep the Nationals
against a team that was dead in the water.
Right. Also finished the season 92-70. And they went 10-9 against the Yankees. So now the Yankees travel to Fenway for the wild card game.
The reverse happened in 05. They identical records, and the Yankees had 10-9 record against them.
Yeah.
So the Yankees got the division, and the Red Sox got the wild card.
Yeah. But anyway, that's not as big a deal. I mean, it's nobody wants to be playing a one-game playoff. But at the same time, I think the Yankees just making the playoffs this year really is a win in a way, because I think that this team is not that they're fundamentally a bad team. Obviously they're not a bad team.
They don't feel that well.
They don't feel that well. They don't run. They don't. There's mental errors. I didn't mean they don't run like they don't run at ground balls. I mean they hit into double plays. They don't steal bases. They're horrible.
Well, that's where we're going.
Situationally, they're awful. You know. I mean, even today it was a walk-off fielder's choice. Off the pitcher's glove. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but I'll give you this though. The great thing I love most about it is that they played the Rays in a way that they have to play them in the division series if they get past Boston.
Right, but Tampa Bay isn't going to be swinging at everything. You know, Tampa Bay's not going to be looking to go home. That's different. And also
Tampa Bay wasn't looking to go home. They were trying to win that game.
Tampa was pretty aggressive with their swings today. They weren't trying.
They weren't laying down.
They weren't laying down, no, but they were playing with house money, right? Because if they really cared, they would have intentionally walked
The game was meaningless,
Judge.
But they want to put it. Well, they did end up putting the Yankees at a disadvantage by stomping on them the day before.
Yeah.
Because now they're playing in Fenway instead of Yankee Stadium.
But I don't think it matters. No, I don't either. I mean, the Yankees finished 9-3 against the Red Sox after starting 0-7.
Right. I really don't think it matters where they play.
And also, you know, we say the Yankees are bad. The Yankees are bad fundamentally, while the Red Sox are not much better. Okay, the Red Sox are also awful defensively. They're not bad on the base pads, but they're not great on the base pads. Their pitching. I mean, the Yankees pitching is pretty solid. Red Sox pitching is horrid. Horrid.
All they got to do is put it together for one game, though. But the Yankees have Garrett Cole.
But if they do...
But his last start was not that good.
No, and the Red Sox have hit Garrett Cole this year. Garrett Cole's had some bad games and some must-wins. Well, not must-wins, but Garrett Cole's had lost some big games.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, even Cleveland beat him up, and that was an important game for the Yankees to win.
This is what you signed him for.
Right, exactly. This is
there
the
is
ROI.
no doubt in anybody's mind from Hal on down who is going to pitch the wild card game, and they set the rotation up so that he would.
Right, exactly.
It's going to be Garrett Cole and Ken.
Yeah, Garrett Cole and Nathan Eovaldi is going to be the matchup to watch. It's going to be some exciting baseball, guys.
Garrett Cole and Nate Eovaldi. You see, the fact that the Red Sox had to turn to Nate Eovaldi...
Last time they faced Eovaldi, the Yankees hit him, but prior to that, they had trouble with him.
Right, but the point is, it doesn't matter about the last time, it's about the next time. Nate Eovaldi is not an ace, and quite literally, Nate Eovaldi is not a 2. And if you're really being realistic, and you're a good team, Nate Eovaldi is not a 3. Nate Eovaldi...
That's
they're
the
turning
issue
to Nate Eovaldi to advance to the ALDS? No way. No way, no how. But the Yankees, how many big games have the Yankees lost this year? You got 2 bad fundamental teams playing this AL wild card. And I think that the Yankees, with Boston coming back and winning that game, I think that the Yankees dodged a bullet, that they get to play the Red Sox. Because if they had to play Toronto's a good team, man. Toronto fields well. Toronto's starting pitching is very good. Toronto's offense is obviously, you can't stop them. Doesn't matter who's on the bump. Doesn't matter if it's Garrett Cole. Maybe DeGrom. Maybe DeGrom could stop them, but I don't know. That Toronto team rakes and flashes the leather and toes the rubber pretty well.
Yeah, there's just no way to
but the Yankees won't get together.
Right, so the Yankees getting to dodge them, that's huge. That's huge for them. So,
Ken, I'm going to go to you first on this in particular. What do you like? I don't like picking one game because it is one game.
Yeah.
And one game in baseball especially can go either way.
You're not an idiot for getting it wrong, you know?
Honestly, there's no way to predict this, all right? Especially just looking at the Yankees team. This is a team that this season alone has won 13 in a row, have had a couple of big series against Toronto and Boston, winning 5 of the 6. Yet they absolutely just disappear for extended stretches at the plate. We saw this week, even today's game, they had 1 hit through the first 8 innings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, against
You're
the guy
not
with the
playing
5 ERA.
winning baseball unless you do what the Yankees did today, which was just grind out with the bullpen and do just enough to hold Tampa shut out, and B, keeping their offense waking up at the 9th inning so you could just eke out that 1 run that you need. So there's no way to predict it, but it is going to be a fun game in a slew of fun games, really. You know, you have St. Louis and Los Angeles, the 2 hottest teams, I think, in baseball, going on in a 1-game shootout. So only one of them is going to advance to face the Giants. And even the winner of this contest is going to face the Tampa, who we saw what they just did to the Yankees, but who knows how this Yankees team plays in the postseason. So it is just incredible to watch.
I don't know. I agree with that, but who knows how the Yankees play in the playoffs? That is a good question because, as you said, the Yankees have disappeared for extended stretches.
Guys, I want to address one thing, too, because we have only a few minutes left to do it. And, Ken, I definitely want your input on this. Gleyber Torres has been getting a lot of heat lately for lack of hustle. And then these other guys, I'm talking about that Ron Bloomberg group I told you about, that a lot of people have been down on the Yankees as general rule, that Gary Sanchez, another one who's being criticized for lack of hustle. And then you go back to say, well, that's why they should fire Aaron Boone. And I'm like, this is not Aaron Boone's job necessarily. Yes, can he bench someone if he thinks he's dogging it? Sure. But this is not really that type of thing. And, of course, Mike, you've played on baseball teams, so you know what I'm talking about. That type of thing is usually handled in-house among the players.
Yeah, there's got to be a leader. You'd prefer it to be Aaron Judge to pull Gleyber Torres or Gary
And he
Sanchez
did,
aside.
apparently.
Yes. In the dugout, you saw Aaron Judge saying something to him. Looking all the way down at him, leering over him like the tree he
Cast
is.
a presence.
Yes, and I mean, Gleyber's hustle today was much better. Gleyber had their first hit, but Gleyber made that diving stop with 2 runners in scoring position to save 2 runs. That was with 2
I thought he
outs,
died. It was
fourth
incredible
inning,
seeing him
something
play.
like that.
You see him play today?
Yeah,
Wow.
but that's the thing. Okay, from yesterday, which you can make the argument that they all looked like they were dogging it.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing that these people are seeing. Now, again, do you guys share this opinion that the Yankees have been inconsistent in their hustle, in their approach to the game?
I don't think the Yankees have hustled this year at all. Even when they've been winning, I think that I think when the Yankees win, they win by the way that they're built. I think that Stanton and Judge and Gary Sanchez are all crushing home runs, and DJ's hitting the
Taking
ball in
them
the gap.
for granted.
What do you mean?
In other words, oh yeah, we're Stanton will hit one or something. Mickey Mantle in his day. In many cases, the Yankees, let's say, they'd be either tied or down a run or something like that late in the game, and Mantle from a hangover would be stuff of legend and hit a walk-off home run, and Mantle it sometimes became a crutch for them to bail them out.
Yeah.
And the Yankees today's Yankees have guys who are capable of being that guy, a Judge, a Stanton, and Stanton did it. Okay, during the hot streaks they've had lately.
Yeah, against Boston especially.
But are these the guys you're depending on the postseason, Ken?
I don't know. I mean, I trust Aaron Judge enough, but
What do you think, Ken?
Hey, as y'all said, it's gonna come down to the guys who really for just about all year have been delivering. It's gonna come down to how Aaron Judge plays and Giancarlo Stanton. They're the big two, I think. If they have a good day on Tuesday, Yanks likely winning that game. And of course, I was going to come down to how good Garrett Cole pitches. I have no clue how to predict it. Honestly, I didn't think the Yankees would get this far. I thought they could get swept and it'd be Toronto-Boston vying for that spot against Tampa Bay. But do I see them going far? No, I think Tampa Bay is going to be the AL East team that goes all the way, whether that's facing Chicago or Houston, in the next round. But to me, the Yankees have gone this far already, so at this point, they have the ability to run the table just through sheer willpower and again how the team is structured, and they're gonna try their hardest for sure. I think that hustle is gonna come out now, which is something I really didn't think I would have been saying at least a week ago, a month ago, even before then.
good point. But
Today's performance, I think, made everybody feel better.
I guess so.
It was the literal back against
They
the
had
wall
to
performance.
today, and they have to Tuesday. So I guess they're going to see it out of obligation.